This is a technical analysis and Bitcoin price prediction. Crypto traders shift their focus to altcoins while Bitcoin price consolidates. Bitcoin slips back below $20K as Litecoin price remains stable. Bitcoin falls after the jobs report, but crypto prices show relative stability. Bitcoin price finally made a move, and fireworks are sure to follow. Expert Bitcoin price predictions from $10K to $28K in 2022 and beyond. Bitcoin price prediction 2022 to 2040. Can BTC price go as high as $100K? Crypto traders shift their focus to altcoins while Bitcoin price consolidates. Traders are shifting their attention to XRP, UNI, QNT, and EGLD, while Bitcoin remains stable at $20,000 per coin. It has been difficult for Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets to begin a strong sustained rebound when the US dollar is nearing a multi-year high, and US stocks are nearing their June lows. This demonstrates that sentiment is negative, and traders are unwilling to take on risk in their portfolios. The stock market in the United States plummeted dramatically on October 7th after the announcement of September's non-farm payroll statistics, but managed to recover ground for the week. Last week, the S&P 500 gained 1.5% while the Nasdaq Composite gained 0.7%. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is expected to end the week with minor gains of approximately 2%. Bitcoin has avoided a crash in recent days, despite the fact that the US equity markets have been hammered. This is the first sign that selling pressure is easing, and traders may be unwilling to sell their holdings at lower prices. However, Bitcoin will need some support from the return of risk-on mentality for a durable rebound. Until then, erratic range-bound behavior is expected to persist, with particular altcoins providing trading possibilities. Bitcoin slips back below $20K as Litecoin price remains stable. Last week's performance of Bitcoin was outstanding. Last week, Bitcoin broke the $20K barrier for the first time in a long time. However, as the weekend approached, the BTC began to fall. BTC has fallen to $19K at the time of publication. Bitcoin was still trading below $19,000 at the time of publication. Even if the market becomes negative, Bitcoin's price performance is predicted to stay steady in the next days, with the price projected to maintain above the present support level of $18,500K. However, Bitcoin may respond to the Fed's action in the coming days. If the Fed is hawkish, Bitcoin may face selling pressure, causing the price to fall. As a result, the Fed meeting in mid-October will undoubtedly have an impact on the path Bitcoin will take in the next days. If the Fed rises interest rates, we should expect a surge in selling pressure for most cryptocurrencies, including Litecoin, which has been rather steady in recent days. This weekend, Litecoin has been quite steady. Litecoin was one of the currencies that rose and was already in the green by 0.4% in the previous 24 hours as of writing. Litecoin has also gained 1.8% in the previous 7 days, making it one of the most stable currencies in October. However, market dynamics generated by various other variables, including a hawkish Fed, will significantly impact the coin's performance in the coming days. So the performance of Bitgert and Litecoin currencies has been consistent this weekend. But the following several days do not promise a bull run. However, crypto experts believe that coins like Bitgert and Centex will do well in the next days. Bitcoin falls after the jobs report, but crypto prices show relative stability. The crypto market plummeted with equities as the highly anticipated employment data revealed that the labor market remains tight, putting the Federal Reserve on track to hike rates rapidly. According to Coinmetrics, the price of Bitcoin declined 3.3% to $19,380.74. Ether dropped 2.7% to $1,322.40. The Labor Department said on Friday that the United States created 263,000 jobs in September compared to the Dow Jones projection of 275,000, and that the unemployment rate decreased to 3.5% from 3.7% the previous month. With no change in the Fed's tune on the horizon, we continue to anticipate solid interest rates, which adds pressure on crypto markets, said Young Yu Ma, chief investment strategist at BMO Wealth Management. The link between cryptocurrency and equities has diminished in recent weeks but remains robust. Crypto seems to be at a critical technical crossroads here, where it appears to be attempting to carve out a bottom but feels heavy. He said, "I still believe it will break to the downside given increasing interest rates and risk-off sentiment, but it's been a surprise effort to hold the line thus far." With the Federal Reserve laser focused on lowering inflation, the market has been stuck in a good news is bad news holding pattern. While the fresh data demonstrates that the US economy is doing well, it may make the Fed more likely to stick to its aggressive rate hike plan, putting pressure on equities and weighing on crypto. Crypto has been the hardest hit this year by rate hike fears, said Callie Cox, eToro's U.S. investment analyst. It makes sense since many crypto projects don't have cash flows. People invest in them for what they may be rather than what value they're producing right now. When interest rates rise, the future worth of the dollar decreases. Cox also emphasized the resiliency of crypto assets in the second half of the year, adding that although equities have returned to new lows as bond rates have risen, Bitcoin and Ether have not. Bitcoin has been trading in a narrow range of $18,000 to $25,000 since plummeting to the year's lows in June. In this weak market, that's progress, Cox said. Crypto prices might indicate that rate concern has reached a tipping point. The strength of cryptocurrency is also a reliable sign of market frothiness. The savage growth sell-off seems to have finally washed out all the weak hands. Bitcoin is also considerably below its all-time highs, she noted. However, stability is a positive step. Bitcoin price finally made a move, and fireworks are sure to follow. New crypto market patterns are emerging as the Bitcoin and equities markets approach tipping points that will define the market's path. This week, Bitcoin increased investors' expectations before letting them down. Traders focused on Bitcoin price breaking through a long-term descending trendline resistance, but according to Cointelegraph analyst Ray Salmon, BTC price simply consolidated its way through the trendline by trading sideways where price has been range-bound between $18,500 and $24,500 for the past 114 days. Near the time of writing, BTC is still battling at $20,000 and it's unclear if the level will hold as support. Data from the on-chain analytics company Whalemap reveals the three price zones where investors should concentrate their efforts. So far, the resistance around $20,380, that is due to a whale buildup of 20,200 BTC, has been functioning pretty well, with the current rejection being virtually to the dollar correct, Whalemap informed Cointelegraph. Our support has been steady since the decline from $30,000, Whalemap said. It is now worth $19,174 and was created on June 18, 2022 by a massive collection of 101,300 BTC using whale wallets. Above $20,380 there is one more resistance level at $21,543. But first, we need to break through $20,380. On the daily timescale, the Bollinger Bands are constricting. BTC futures open interest has hit a near record high over 604,000, and the price is trading outside of a long-term trendline resistance of which indicate that a directional move is in the works. At the moment, Bitcoin and the broader cryptocurrency market are effectively in a zone where a variety of bullish and negative forces might decide the trend's future path. There are a few Bitcoin, crypto market, and equities measures that are converging and indicate the likelihood of a short-term relief rally, but the overall trend favors the downside. If stocks find some respite and rise higher, the close link between BTC, Ether, and equities markets suggests a similar pattern of price activity in crypto. Having said that, a Bitcoin rescue rally is expected to be stopped above $27,500, the 200-day moving average. The most optimistic short-term Bitcoin movements would be either a continuation of the current 116-day range, with support between $20,000 and $18,400, or a large volume breakout of the current 116-day range with a series of daily closes above the range high at $25,200. An eventual flip of the 200 MA to support and a series of weekly higher highs on the candlestick chart would be early signals of a potential longer-term bullish turnaround. But given the macro headwinds confronting Bitcoin, this is exceedingly improbable. Expert Bitcoin price predictions from $10K to $28K in 2022 and beyond. Bitcoin had a rough first half of the year, but analysts believe it will ultimately reach $100,000. It's only a question of when, not if. Despite the volatility and recent price drop, many experts believe Bitcoin is on its way to crossing the $100,000 barrier, albeit they differ on when that will happen. In addition, according to a recent Deutsche Bank research, over a fifth of Bitcoin investors think Bitcoin values would exceed $110,000 in 5 years. Volatility is nothing new, and it is one of the main reasons why experts advise novice crypto investors to be very careful when committing a portion of their portfolio to cryptocurrency. Bitcoin's value has risen steadily over the years, as has the value of every other cryptocurrency on the market. It's only natural for Bitcoin investors to be inquisitive about how high the currency may eventually rise. Over the previous week, Bitcoin prices have stayed low but stable. The token ultimately recaptured $20,000 numerous times this week, but it has failed to maintain that position for more than a few hours. Bitcoin is already back below that level, trading in the mid-$19,000s on Friday afternoon. Bitcoin's flaws arise from a spate of poor economic news in recent months, which has shifted market sentiment to the downside. Despite these price decreases, Bitcoin has performed better in recent weeks than other assets such as equities, gold, the European euro, the Japanese yen, the Chinese yuan, and the British pound. According to analysts, Bitcoin's recent durability may be due to the token's role as a fantastic conduit for US money while other currencies falter, or it could be due to long-term crypto investors being unmoved by recent blows to the US economy. In any event, Bitcoin's price remains low but stable as other assets plummet. The token's price has dropped by more than 60% since the beginning of the year. Given the contrast between terrible stock performance and relatively consistent crypto performance, some are questioning whether crypto is indicating that it will quit following the stock market. Experts are not convinced, at least not yet. While the association between stock and cryptocurrency prices has weakened in recent weeks, analysts believe crypto will require more time to break apart. And, although Bitcoin is staying stable, it is not yet out of the woods. The end of the year is chock full of events that may tip the scales, such as the midterm elections, inflation numbers, Federal Reserve meetings, and a possible peak in US dollar strength, not to mention the globe is still suffering from the fallout from Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The market remains fragile and on edge, not necessarily due to risks from additional crypto projects going bankrupt, but because of the severe economic scenario we are now experiencing, said Martin Heespoke, Uphold's director of blockchain and crypto research. In other words, the price of Bitcoin is more affected by the supply of gas to Germany than by any crypto-related news or measure. With no end in sight, analysts predict that the crisis in Ukraine, inflation, and changing monetary policy in the United States will generate even greater volatility in the coming months. Bitcoin has only been over $45,000 for brief periods in the last 6 months, and it hasn't been above $50,000 since December 25, 2021. Despite the ups and downs, Bitcoin's current price is still a long way from the all-time high it reached in November, when it surpassed $68,000. Despite the current price drop, Bitcoin is still more than twice as valuable as it was only a few years ago. These types of ups and downs are nothing new for Bitcoin. Bitcoin price predictions for 2022. Between $10,000 and $28,000. Bitcoin's price is exceedingly difficult to forecast, and it is considerably more vulnerable to market forces than more established asset classes. However, we decided to consult several experts for their best projections for 2022. Crypto and the stock market have had a rough first half of 2022. Investors have shied away from riskier assets as the economy slows, inflation rises, and interest rates rise. Given that Wall Street is in a bear market that analysts predict to continue a few more months, Bitcoin might return to $28,000 by the end of the year, according to a Deutsche Bank research. Meanwhile, according to Finder, a 53-expert panel forecasts Bitcoin's price will reach at least $25,000 by the end of 2022. However, one analyst is skeptical that Bitcoin has reached its lowest price of the year. Wendy O, a cryptocurrency market expert, believes Bitcoin will fall below $10,000 since it has a history of correcting up to 85% in previous bad markets. According to O, the biggest cryptocurrency set an all-time high in November 2021 at over $68,000, thus an 85% fall would take it to around $10,000. However, it will not be a straight shoot down. According to O's technical analysis, Bitcoin has numerous resistance levels, thus a wild return higher is expected before Bitcoin totally bottoms out this year. Bitcoin price prediction for the next few days. Bitcoin, Bitcoin, Bitcoin. Is there anything more to say about this coin right now? Even those with no interest in the sector have heard of it. As the most valuable cryptocurrency, it commands unfathomably high prices, a lot of attention, and, of course, a lot of scrutiny. Bitcoin, in addition to, despite everyone writing it off, the remainder of the crypto industry is recognized for its capacity to withstand any obstacles and make big comebacks. For the last 8 or so months, several financial gurus have predicted that the Bitcoin bubble would burst in the near future. So many years nonetheless, the currency stays at the top, and BTC investors benefit handsomely. However, the crypto sector is swiftly evolving, and some cryptocurrency aficionados are beginning to question whether Bitcoin is still a worthwhile investment. There are several elements that may influence the price of Bitcoin. Unlike other cryptocurrencies, it is not as reliant on the rest of the crypto market, and is generally the one to set the trend. However, BTC remains sensitive to major crypto news, especially those affecting the industry as a whole or other major currencies such as Ethereum or Shiba Inu. Bitcoin's price is also influenced by non-crypto news, as seen by its price movement in the spring of 2020, another news industry in which those who invested What those who invest in Bitcoin or want to do so should keep an eye out for is ecology. Bitcoin, like any other asset, is influenced by news about it, whether it is about Bitcoin itself, crypto exchanges, or blockchain technology. When there is a piece of news about cryptocurrency, the price generally rises. To widespread acceptance, new technical advancements, and so on, any ambiguity, on the other hand, might cause its value to drop. Bitcoin is without a doubt one of the most popular things to invest in recent days, because the crypto market has a low barrier to entry. Even persons who have never traded before may readily become crypto investors. As a consequence, there are Bitcoin price forecasts available that seek to answer one basic question: will it climb again in the future? The majority of experts are positive about Bitcoin. Some, such as Wallet Investor, believe that the Bitcoin price will reach almost $150K in the next 5 years. Others, such as Digital Coin Price, have a more guarded outlook. Their BTC price projections suggest that the asset will most likely have hit just $100K by 2027. On the surface, the crypto industry seems to be expanding rapidly. An increasing number of enterprises are releasing crypto-related goods and services. Fendi, for example, is collaborating with Ledger to launch a crypto wallet, while Twitter has just incorporated NFT profile photos. However, many experts are beginning to doubt the technology's long-term feasibility. While much public opposition to new technology might be explained away as fear and ignorance of anything new, more stringent restrictions throughout the globe are making many professionals apprehensive of investing in cryptocurrency. Unlike Ethereum or Solana, Bitcoin lacks the advantage of a vast ecosystem of extremely diverse crypto goods and services. Bitcoin is exactly what it purports to be: a digital money, nothing more, nothing less. With its delayed reactivity to change and unfriendly proof-of-work consensus process, Bitcoin is looking less and less like a profitable investment. Bitcoin price prediction 2025 to 2030. Can BTC price go as high as $100K? The Bitcoin price concluded the previous day's transaction at $19,629.08, with a market capitalization of $375.55 billion and a circulating supply of 19.16 million BTC. The Bitcoin price looks to be amassing enormous strength in preparation for a parabolic rebound in the coming months. Bitcoin is now trading inside a bearish descending triangle and has hit the triangle's peak. As a result, a significant price movement may be on the horizon, especially as trading volume is increasing. As a result, the Bitcoin price may break through the bearish pattern and test the lower support at roughly $17,500. Initially, if the bulls can stave off the bears, the price may rise over $19,000 and reach a high of $22,100. If the price does not return in a negative scenario, a sustained bearish action may drive it close to $15,700. Since the last 6 months, the supply on exchanges has been decreasing as more tokens have deserted the exchanges. This might imply that dealers continue to retain BTC regardless of price fluctuations. While the Bitcoin price remains unchanged, the whales continue to amass more Bitcoin. In the last 6 months, whales with 10 Kelvin to 1000 Kelvin BTC have steadily increased their holdings. Also, we present analysis on Bitcoin and Bitcoin news today. We cover tickers XRP, BTC, Cardano, ETH technical analysis, and BNB Hive. We also going to add explanations on topics such as how to stake Luna Classic and BNB Miner works. Our videos cover BTC technical analysis, Luna Classic price prediction, Binance USC analysis, and more. Metin 2F. In the next weeks, we will add VeChain live news in our videos and Ethereum mainnet details. This is Crypto Block IQ. Subscribe to this channel to get the latest price analysis and trading systems signals. We focus on LUNC news today, Terra Luna Classic news today, Luna Classic price prediction. Also, we present analysis on Bitcoin and Bitcoin news today. We cover tickers XRP, BTC, Cardano, ETH technical analysis, and BNB Hive. We also going to add explanations on topics such as how to stake Luna Classic and BNB Miner works. Our videos cover BTC technical analysis, Luna Classic price prediction, Binance USC analysis, and more. Metin 2F. In the next weeks, we will add VeChain live news in our videos and Ethereum mainnet details. Write down below in the comments what is your strategy for the next few days. Click the card on the right to get to more Bitcoin price prediction analysis.